Let's talk about the rumors surrounding Garrett Wilson, the New York Jets wide receiver, and quarterback Aaron Rodgers. There's been speculation about their relationship and what Wilson's future on the team looks like.
The Jets didn't have the season anyone thought they would.
That's for sure.
Everyone thought Aaron Rodgers would come in and start a new era of winning for them, but then he had that season-ending injury in the first game of 2023. It really set them back.
Yeah, and then the team really struggled in 2024. So now everyone's wondering what's going to change. They're probably going to get a new general manager and a new head coach, which could totally change things.
And that's why everyone's saying Wilson's not happy and that he wants to leave, especially if Rodgers stays. Some people even say he doesn't like his role in the offense and that he thinks he should be getting the ball more.
But Wilson's been using social media to say those rumors aren't true and that people are just trying to cause problems. He says he wants to finish the season strong.
It's interesting how athletes use social media to tell their side of the story.
I know what you mean.
It can be risky, though. It's great for connecting with fans and shutting down rumors, but it also puts them under a microscope and can actually make the rumors worse.
Makes you wonder how much we should believe what people say on social media.
Yeah.
Is how they really feel, or are they just trying to look good?
It's hard to know for sure.
Yeah.
We have to remember these athletes have agents and teams and the media all over them. What they say publicly is usually influenced by a lot of different things.
So let's talk about this whole thing about Wilson being unhappy with his role. What does that even mean for a wide receiver in the NFL?
For a guy like Wilson, it's not just about catching passes.
Right.
He wants to be a big part of the offense, to make big plays, to feel like they're using his skills the right way.
So he might feel underused if he's not getting enough passes thrown to him, or if the plays they're calling don't really let him show what he can do.
Exactly. He might be really good at running deep routes, for instance, but if the offense is mostly short passes, he's not going to shine.
And we can't forget about Aaron Rodgers and how he affects all of this. He's a strong personality and has his own ideas about how the offense should run.
That's true. He has a reputation for liking certain receivers more than others and for being close to them.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have that connection with Wilson, it could definitely affect how Wilson's used and how happy he is.
So with the Jets possibly getting a new general manager and head coach, everything could change how they use Wilson.
Definitely.
A new general manager and coach will have their own plans for the team. They're going to look at the players, including Wilson, and decide if they fit into their system.
Especially the general manager has a lot of power when it comes to who's on the team. They make the decisions about trades, free agents, and the draft.
They're basically in charge of the money and who comes and goes. They could decide to build the team around Wilson, or they could trade him if they think he's not a good fit.
And the head coach is the one who actually runs the team on the field and coaches the players every day.
So their style of offense will decide how Wilson is used and how many chances he gets. If they like what Wilson can do, they could totally change his role and help him reach his full potential.
Exactly.
So that makes you wonder, could a new coaching staff be the best thing for Wilson even if Rodgers stays on the team?
It's possible. They could create a new offense specifically for Wilson's strengths. If they believe in him, they can make him a bigger part of the game plan and really let him shine.
That's an important point because it means maybe Wilson doesn't have to leave the Jets to be happy. It's not just about whether Rodgers stays or goes.
People like to think it's a simple choice, but it's more complicated than that. There are lots of factors, and no one knows for sure what's going to happen.
And we also have to think about how all this affects Rodgers himself. He came to the Jets to win another Super Bowl. If they decide to rebuild, will he want to stick around for that?
Only he can answer that. He's at a point in his career where he doesn't have a lot of time left. He might be okay with rebuilding, or he might want to go to a team that's ready to win now.
And whatever he decides will definitely have a big impact on Wilson and the whole Jets organization.
It just adds another layer of complexity to a situation that's already pretty complicated. Rodgers and Wilson's futures are tied together in ways that are hard to predict. In the NFL, decisions are often made for the good of the business, not just because of what individual players want.
So even if Wilson wants to be the main guy on offense, the new people in charge might not think that's the best plan.
That's right. He could be a good player, but not someone they absolutely have to have.
That's just how pro sports work.
It's a tough world.
Players are like pieces of a puzzle.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to move those pieces around or get new ones to make the picture look better.
Exactly.
We've seen it happen a lot in the NFL.
All the time.
Star players get traded or cut, even if they're still playing well. It all depends on if they fit the team's plan, their strategy, and if they're winning.
And with Wilson, it's even trickier because no one knows what Rodgers is going to do. If he stays, the Jets might focus on building the team around him, which could mean fewer opportunities for Wilson.
But if Rodgers leaves, they'll have to find a new quarterback, and that could change the whole offense. offense.
A new quarterback might not throw to Wilson as much as Rodgers did, or they might not have the same connection.
That's where the type of offense they run becomes really important.
Right.
Different quarterbacks are good at different things. Some are better at short passes. Others like to throw the ball deep. How well Wilson does will depend on whether his skills match the new quarterback's style.
Let's say the Jets get a young quarterback who's good at running around and making plays on the fly. That kind of quarterback might not always throw the ball at the exact moment the receiver expects,
Right.
which could be good for Wilson because he's really good at adjusting to the ball while it's in the air.
But if they get a veteran quarterback who likes a more traditional offense where everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to do, Wilson might have to compete for passes with other receivers who are already used to that system.
It's about finding the right mix of talent, the right type of offense, and the right chemistry between players. The new people in charge of the Jets are going to have to think about all of that when they decide who's on the team and how they're going to play.
And they'll be making those decisions with the future in mind. It's not just about winning this year. They want to build a team that can win for years to come.
That means they'll want players who fit into their long-term plan, even if it means they might not win as much right now. Wilson could be part of that plan, or he could be traded if they decide to rebuild.
Pro sports can be tough. Teams want to be the best, and sometimes that means making tough decisions.
That's the reality.
What happens to individual players often depends on what's good for the team.
Wilson's story is a good example of what it's like in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's a talented player, but so much is out of his control.
His future with the Jets depends on a lot of things. What the new leaders want, who the quarterback is, what kind of offense they run, and most importantly, if the team wins.
We'll have to see what happens, but people are definitely going to be watching to see what he does.
He could become a star receiver, but it all depends on the Jets and what they decide to do.
The Jets' new season is full of uncertainty, but one thing's for sure, things are going to change. They're getting a new general manager and head coach, which means a new direction for the team.
This could be really good for them and help them improve, or it could make things worse.
It's hard to say.
The new leaders have a tough job. They need to rebuild a team that hasn't been doing well. They'll have to make some hard choices about who's on the team, what style of offense they'll run, and what the team's identity will be.
Jets fans want their team to be good again.
They've been disappointed for a long time.
Yeah.
The new leaders need to show them that this time it's going to be different, that they're not going to fall back into the same old patterns.
There's going to be a lot of pressure on them. Everyone will be watching and judging them. The NFL is all about results. If you don't win, you don't last.
They're going to have to handle that pressure while also making decisions that will affect the team for years to come.
It's a tough balancing act. The stakes are high. They can't afford to make many mistakes. And if they fail, it'll have big consequences.
The Jets are a good example of how unpredictable pro sports can be. Things can change really quickly. Teams can go from good to bad or bad to good in just one season. You never know what's going to happen, even if a team has good plans and talented players.
This new season is a fresh start for the Jets. It's a chance to change their story.
They have the opportunity to embrace change, to learn from their mistakes, and build something great.
Whether they succeed or fail, it's going to be interesting to watch. It just shows you how unpredictable the NFL is and how even when things look bad, there's always hope.
The Jets have a lot to do this offseason. They have to make choices that will shape Wilson's future. The draft and free agency are big chances to change the team and get better where they need to be.
The draft is always interesting. Teams get to add young players and sometimes find hidden gems. The Jets have a few draft picks, which means they have options. They can go after specific players or even trade for someone who's already in the league.
The new general manager has a big job making sure they pick the right players.
Yes, for sure.
If they have a good draft, it can help the team for years. But if they have a bad one, it can hurt them for a long time.
Especially for a team like the Jets that's trying to rebuild. They need to find good young players to build their future around.
Free agency is another way to improve the team. They can sign experienced players to fill the spots they need right now.
Right.
But it can be risky. Sometimes those big contracts don't work out, and then the team is stuck paying a lot of money to a player who isn't helping them. It can mess up their budget for years.
The new leaders of the Jets need to be smart about free agency. They can't just sign anyone. They have to find players who are good, but also fit into the team style and the kind of atmosphere they're trying to create.
And don't forget, the Jets play in a really tough division.
Oh, yeah.
The AFC East is one of the hardest in football.
Definitely.
The Buffalo Bills are always good. Josh Allen's a great quarterback. The Miami Dolphins have Tua Tagovailoa, who's a young star, and their offense is really strong. And you can't forget about the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick Belichick is still their coach.
No doubt.
The Jets have a lot of work to do if they want to be the best team in their division. They have to get better on offense and defense and figure out how to beat those other teams consistently.
Definitely.
Which brings us back to Wilson. He could be a great receiver in the NFL, but he needs to be on a team that's a good fit for him and has the right people around him.
The coaches are going to be really important for him.
Absolutely.
They need to come up with a plan that uses his strengths and gives him chances to make big plays.
And they need to have a good relationship with him and make him feel confident. If he knows they believe in him, he'll play better.
The quarterback situation is a big deal too. Whether it's Rodgers or someone else, Wilson needs a quarterback who can get him the ball in a way that lets him use his speed and athleticism.
So for Wilson to really succeed, it's not just about his talent. It's also about the offense, the coaching, and the quarterback. The Jets have to make sure all those things work together to help him reach his full potential.
That's the challenge.
And they need to do it if they want to be a top team in the AFC East and maybe even the whole league.
It's a tough league. Wilson's story just shows you that even if you're talented, things aren't always easy. What happens to you as a player depends on the team, the decisions they make, and sometimes just luck.
As we look ahead to the Jets' new season, we just have to wait and see what happens with Wilson and the whole team. Will he become the star receiver everyone thinks he can be? Will the Jets finally turn things around and become a winning team? We'll just have to wait and see.
The NFL is full of surprises. Teams change all the time. Anything can happen.
The Jets' journey will be full of ups and downs and challenges, but one thing's for sure, it's going to be interesting to watch.